US court rules Trump liable to immunity from prosecution as former president. Spain court upholds arrest warrants for Catalonian former leader. Good afternoon and Salam Malaysia Madani. I'm SAHIH Samsudin and you're watching World Today. The US Supreme Court ruled Monday that Donald Trump enjoys some immunity from prosecution as a former president, a decision set to delay his trial for conspiring to overturn the 2020 election. The 6-day ruling, split along ideological lines, comes 4 months ahead of the presidential election in which Trump is the Republican candidate to take on Democrat Joe Biden. Justices who disagreed with the judgment issued stinging criticism and aired fears for the country's democratic future, but Trump was quick to revel in what he called a big win. Chief Justice John Roberts, in his majority opinion, said a president is not above the law but does have absolute immunity from criminal prosecution for official acts taken while in office. As for President's unofficial acts, there is no immunity, he added, sending the case back to a lower court to determine which of the charges facing Trump involve official or unofficial conduct. Both District Court and an appeal court panel had previously rejected Trump's immunity claims in a historic case with far-reaching implications for executive power. The District Court will now hold a series of pre-trial hearings, making a trial before November extremely unlikely. Trump is charged with conspiracy to defraud the United States as well as obstruction of an official proceeding when a violent mob of his supporters tried to prevent the 6 January joint session of Congress held to certify Biden's victory in 2021. The 78-year-old former president is also charged with conspiracy to deny Americans the right to vote and to have their votes counted. Meanwhile, US President Joe Biden warned on Monday that the US Supreme Court's landmark ruling on presidential immunity sets a dangerous precedent that Donald Trump would exploit if elected in November.
Today's Supreme Court decision on presidential immunity, that fundamentally changed. For all practical purposes, today's decision almost certainly means that there are virtually no limits on what a president can do. This is a fundamentally new principle, and it's a dangerous precedent, because the power of the office will no longer be constrained by the law, even including the Supreme Court of the United States. The only limits will be self-imposed by the president alone.
Biden said the decision meant Trump was highly unlikely to go on trial before the November election for his role in seeking to overturn the results of the 2020 election. Yemen Houthis said on Monday that they conducted 4 military operations targeting 4 ships in the Red, Arabian and Mediterranean seas, as well as the Indian Ocean linked to the United States, the United Kingdom and Israel. Yahya Saria, the Yemeni group's spokesperson, said in the first operation that Israeli ship MSC Unific was targeted in the Arabian Sea.
المسلحة اليمنية بعون الله تعالى 4 عمليات عسكرية نوعية استهدفت 4 سفن تابعة لثلاثي الشر الأمريكي والبريطاني والإسرائيلي، وكانت على النحو التالي: العملية الأولى نفذتها القوة الصاروخية بعدد من الصواريخ المجنحة، استهدفت سفينة MSC يونيفيك الإسرائيلية في البحر العربي، وكانت الإصابة دقيقة ومباشرة بفضل الله.
He added that a US oil tanker, Delonix, was also targeted in a second operation that was carried out in the Red Sea for the second time this week. The third operation targeted UK landing ship Anvil Point in the Indian Ocean, and a fourth operation in the Mediterranean Sea targeted a ship that Saria identified as the Lucky Sailor. Yemen's Iran-aligned Houthi group has been launching drone and missile strikes in shipping lanes in November, saying they are in solidarity with Palestinians in Gaza. Spain's Supreme Court on Monday upheld arrest warrants for Catalonia's former leader and others charged with embezzlement over the region's failed secession bid, as it ruled that a recent amnesty law does not apply to them. The decision could disrupt the fragile socialist-led coalition ruling Spain and have personal implications for ex-Catalan leader Carles Puigdemont, who is living in France in self-imposed exile. An amnesty law passed on 30th May was meant to pardon those involved in the 2017 attempt to declare Catalonia's independence from Madrid. It was made in exchange for the critical support of separatist parties for Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez's new term after an inclusive general election. Investigating Judge Pablo Lorena said in his writ he would continue to seek the arrest of Puigdemont and his former deputies Antonio Comín and Luis Puig, who were in charge of Catalonia's health and culture departments respectively. Politicians and activists involved in the independence drive face charges including public disorder, disobedience and embezzlement. Former Peruvian presidential candidate Keiko Fujimori arrived in court on Monday at the start of a trial over allegations she received illegal funds from a Brazilian construction company and local firms, which could carry a jail penalty of up to 30 years. The politician, daughter of former President Alberto Fujimori, faces charges of money laundering and leading a criminal organization that received contributions for her 2011 and 2016 electoral campaigns. Fujimori, who currently leads the influential Popular Force Party, arrived at the courtroom alongside her lawyer and other defendants in the trial, which was broadcast on television. She has previously said she was innocent and rejected the charges. According to prosecutors, Popular Force was used to irregularly receive some $17 million from various contributors, such as Brazilian construction conglomerate Odebrecht and Peruvian financial holding company Credicorp. The prosecutor's office said the origin of this money, used for political campaigns and for the Fujimori family's own benefit, had been hidden from the electoral authorities. Keiko Fujimori, 49, has run 3 times for the Peru presidency. Iran's presidential candidate faced off in a debate on Monday, clashing over foreign policy and economic reform, just days before the two men will face a runoff elections on 5th July. Saeed Jalili, a zealous ideologue loyal to Iran's supreme leader, went head-to-head with his more moderate opponent, Masoud Pezeshkian, who is backing women's rights, more social freedoms and cautious detente with the West. Jalili plans to resolve the country's social, political and economic ills by adhering rigidly to the hardline ideals of the 1979 Islamic Revolution if he wins. However, under Iran's dual system of clerical and republican rule, the power to shape key state policies, including foreign and nuclear affairs, ultimately rests with Khamenei. As a result, many voters are skeptical whether either of the candidates can keep their campaign promises. Both candidates also accuse each other of having no solution for the country's problems. Pezeshkian narrowly beat hardline Jalili for the first place in Friday's first round vote. At least 9 people were killed and 4 others were injured when a car struck pedestrians near Seoul City Hall on Monday. At least 9 people were killed and 4 others were injured when a car struck pedestrian near Seoul City Hall on Monday. 6 people were killed at the scene, while 3 others were pronounced dead after being rushed to hospital. South Korea's Yonhap news agency reported that a 68-year-old driver crashed into people who were waiting at a traffic signal. He was driving in the wrong direction and hit 2 other vehicles before ploughing into the pedestrians, Yonhap said. A man was detained by police over the incident, said Kim Suk-hwan, Safety and Transport Director at the city's Junggu District Office. Investigations are underway to determine if drugs or alcohol were involved, as well as whether the deadly incident was caused by accidental acceleration, Kim said. Seoul Mayor Oh Si-hoon described a very sad accident as he visited the crash site, according to city authorities. He also ordered officials to take the victims to the hospital quickly and thoroughly identify the cause of the accident. Deadly transport accidents with multiple casualties are rare in South Korea, which generally has well-maintained roads and vehicles. New vaping regulations in Australia came into force on Monday, moving e-cigarettes behind pharmacy counters in a bid to curb youth vaping. The laws passed last week will restrict vape sales to pharmacies and require customers to speak with the pharmacist before buying a vape. Those under 18 will need a prescription. The ruling Labour Party was forced to water down a broader plan that would have limited sales to those with a medical prescription after opposition from Green senators concerned it would restrict access for those looking to quit smoking and strain the health system. By a 3-month delay to implement the last-minute compromise means customers over 18 will require a prescription until October, when that requirement will lapse. In addition to restricting sales to pharmacies, the laws also limit the concentration of nicotine in vapes and restrict the flavours to mint, menthol or tobacco. Known for its strict anti-smoking laws and steep tobacco taxes, Australia already banned most vape imports earlier this year. Importers must now apply for licenses from the government drug control body. 4 executives from supermarket chains in Myanmar, including a Japanese joint venture official, were arrested for selling rice and inflated prices. Those arrested included an executive from supermarket chain Aeon Orange, a joint venture between Japan's Aeon and Yangon-based Creation Myanmar. Authorities said they arrested 11 people, including rice traders and officials from rice mills and rice retailers, accusing them of inflating prices by 31% to 70% from prescribed levels. Myanmar has been in turmoil since its military deposed an election civilian government in February 2021, sparking widespread protests that have morphed into a nationwide armed resistance. Amid escalating violence, poverty in the country is more widespread than at any time in the last 6 years, and labour shortages and a depreciating currency have made it harder to do business, according to the World Bank. Last month, the junta arrested at least 35 people, cracking down on gold and foreign exchange traders and agents selling foreign real estate as part of efforts to stabilise its rapidly depreciating currency. Hurricane Beryl slammed into the Caribbean island of Carriacou on Monday, producing life-threatening conditions, including disastrous winds after the storm strengthened into a powerful Category 4 storm. With the extremely dangerous eye wall moving over the island, which is part of Grenada, the US National Hurricane Center warned residents not leave their shelter as wind will rapidly increase. The NHC reported on X that the Eye of Beryl made landfall on Carriacou Island at 3:10 p.m. local time. It added that it was creating catastrophic winds and life-threatening storm surge. Posting a video showing large waves, the Office of the Prime Minister of Grenada wrote on Facebook that the Tri-Island state was experiencing intense winds and damage. Experts say that such a powerful storm forming this early in the Atlantic hurricane season, which runs from early June to late November, is extremely rare. Only 5 major Category 3+ hurricanes have been recorded in the Atlantic before the first week of July. Grenada Prime Minister Dickon Mitchell urged citizens to quickly seek shelter and respect an island-wide curfew ordered for 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. local time Tuesday morning. A state of emergency was declared in Tobago, the smaller of the 2 islands that make up Trinidad and Tobago, with schools ordered closed on Monday. Barbados, Grenada, plus St. Vincent and the Grenadines and Tobago were all under hurricane warnings, while a hurricane watch or tropical storm warnings or watches were in effect for Jamaica, Martinique, Trinidad, St. Lucia and parts of the Dominican Republic and Haiti. Japan's space agency JAXA on Monday successfully launched its third H3 flagship rocket carrying a $200 million radar satellite, ALOS-4. The ALOS-4 is a disaster management land observation satellite that can monitor disaster hit areas and ground transformation, and is also expected to help understand volcanic activity. The launch on Monday came after the first H3 flight resulted in manual destruction and the loss of ALOS-3 last year in March. Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency JAXA and primary contractor Mitsubishi Heavy Industries plan for the H3 to replace the 2-decade-old HIIA rocket, hoping that its lower cost and greater payload capacity will help them win launch orders from global clients. The rocket followed a preset trajectory, separating into 2 stages and releasing the satellite into orbit, with the rocket's remains falling into the Indian Ocean. Its successfully launch had highlighted progress in maintaining Japan's autonomy in terms of access to space while simultaneously ensuring international competitiveness. Hong Kong leader John Lee announced on Monday that China was gifting the former British colony a pair of giant pandas as the city marked 27 years since its return to Chinese rule. Lee and senior officials, including officials from the People's Liberation Army Hong Kong garrison and the liaison office of the Central People's Government, raised a toast at a ceremony celebrating the handover's anniversary. The officials attended an official flag-raising ceremony earlier in the morning. In his keynote address, Lee reviewed the government's achievements over the past 2 years, including efforts to safeguard harmony, stability and economic progress. Britain returned Hong Kong to Chinese rule on 1st July 1997 under a one-country, two-system formula which guarantees wide-ranging autonomy and judicial independence not seen in mainland China. Critics say the promise has been eroded after China imposed a national security law on Hong Kong in June 2020. The law punishes acts of subversion, terrorism, collusion with foreign forces, and secession with possible life imprisonment, in addition to the arrest of scores of pro-democracy campaigners. Next, Portugal edged Slovenia in penalty shootout in the last 16 clash. That and more in our sports segment. Kicking off our sports segment this afternoon, Tajikistan, the defending champions of the 2023 Merdeka tournament, will return to defend their title at the 43rd edition, scheduled to take place from 2nd to 10 September. In addition to Malaysia hosting the event and the 102-ranked Tajikistan team, Football Association of Malaysia FAM Secretary General Datuk Nur Azman Rahman announced that 2 more teams, Lebanon and the Philippines, will add colour to the competition to be held at the Bukit Jalil National Stadium. Datuk Nur Azman said the draw for all 4 teams will be on a later date to determine their opponents for the semi-finals, followed by the final and the 3rd place playoff. This marks the first time the Merdeka tournament has been successfully organised consecutively in 16 years since its last consecutive editions in 2006, 2007 and 2008. Previously, it was held in 2013 and resumed after a 10-year hiatus last year. In the previous edition, held at the same venue, the Harimau Malaya defeated India 4-2 in the semi-finals but had to settle for the runners-up title after a 0-2 loss to Tajikistan in the final. On to Euro 2024 tournament, Portugal goalkeeper Diego Costa saved 3 Slovenia penalties to earn his side a 3-0 shootout victory after Cristiano Ronaldo redeemed himself from a spot in a dramatic last 16 clash on Monday. Ronaldo broke down in tears after missing a penalty in the first period of extra time in the goalless tie in Frankfurt. But he recovered to convert in the shootout as Portugal scraped through to set up a blockbuster clash with France in the quarterfinals. Slovenia battled valiantly to keep Portugal at bay, with Jan Oblak making a stunning save to keep out Ronaldo's penalty after Diego Jota was fouled. However, Ronaldo, Bruno Fernandes and Bernardo Silva also scored in the shootout, and Slovenia's trio missed, sending the Selekio through in heart-stopping fashion. Slovenia, playing in the first ever knockout match at a major competition, maintained their defensive shape well and limited Portugal's opportunities. 3 penalty saves from Portugal keeper Diego Costa ensured Ronaldo's redemption was complete as Roberto Martinez's side booked a blockbuster quarter-final meeting with France. Meanwhile, France again failed to thrill but got over the line thanks to Jan Vertonghen's 85th minute own goal. Despite boasting a richly talented squad led by Kylian Mbappe, the 2022 World Cup finalists' only 3 goals in 4 games so far in Germany have come from 2 own goals and a penalty. France had dominated the last 16 clash but were again wasteful with their finishing. Mbappe failed to find his range while Aurelien Tchouameni and Marcus Thuram did not hit the target with good chances. Les Blues had to rely on 2 big saves from Mike Maignan to deny Romelu Lukaku and Kevin De Bruyne as Belgium threatened on the break late on. But France finally made the breakthrough when substitute Randal Kolo Muani collected the ball inside the Belgian penalty area and hit a shot that was going wide until a deflection of the unfortunate Vertonghen took it past goalkeeper Koen Casteels. France and Portugal joined Germany and Spain, who also face off on Friday in a heavyweight top half of the draw. England take on Switzerland in the quarterfinals on the other side of the draw. In tennis, Jannik Sinner wobbled midway through his Wimbledon first round clash with unseeded German Yannick Hanfmann, but the world number 1 recovered to seal a 6-3, 6-4, 3-6, 6-3 win on and book a meeting with fellow Italian Matteo Berrettini. The Australian Open champion used his powerful serve and forehand to good effect against Hanfmann as he breezed through the first set on the back of a solitary break and got his nose in front early in the next. Hanfmann hung on and heaped pressure on Sinner's serve but was unable to find a way through, and the 22-year-old top seed moved to 2 sets ahead. The world number 110 flipped the script to go 4-love up in the third set as Sinner appeared to be belatedly hampered by a nasty fall, and the German cupped his ear amid huge cheers after forcing a 4th set with a neat volley. There was to be no comeback, however, as Sinner rediscovered his rhythm under the lights on court, won to break for a 3-1 lead and held firm to close out the match. Sinner, who lifted his first title on the sport's slickest surface at Hale 2 weeks ago, could face another tricky test against Berrettini. Earlier, third seed Carlos Alcaraz endured an early test in his Wimbledon title defence, but the Spaniard quelled the challenge of the Estonian qualifier Marc Lajal 7-6, 7-5, 6-2 and moved into the second round on Monday. The 21-year-old, bidding to a 4th Grand Slam trophy to his cabinet after his maiden French Open triumph last month, dropped serve midway through a high-quality opening set before battling back to clinch it in a tiebreak. Lajal broke Alcaraz again early in the next set, but the dreadlock world number 269 was unable to make the advantage count when his opponent broke back to love immediately before pouncing again in the 11th game. With the momentum having swung, Alcaraz continued to reel off the points for a 2-set lead and raised his game further in third to break with a superb backhand cross-court winner, and he never looked back from there to close out the victory. In women's, China's world number 8 Zheng Qinwen, the Australian Open runner-up, was the biggest casualty of the day, losing in the first round for a second successive year. Zheng went down 4-6, 6-2, 6-4 to New Zealand qualifier Lulu Sun, who celebrated her first Grand Slam match win. Former world number 1 Naomi Osaka claimed her first win at Wimbledon since 2018 when she recovered from a breakdown in the final set to defeat Diane Parry of France 6-1, 1-6, 6-4. 4-time Grand Slam title winner Osaka fight 34 winners in the tie, which was decided when Parry served up her 10th double fault. Victory was extra special for Osaka as it comes a day before her daughter Shai celebrated her first birthday. Britain's Emma Raducanu, who rocketed to fame by winning the 2021 US Open as a qualifier but has struggled to reach such heights since because of injuries, duly delivered an encouraging victory. Wildcard Raducanu, 21, missed last year's Wimbledon because of injury but opened her account with a battling 7-6, 6-3 win against Mexico's Renata Zarazua. In cycling, Eritrean Biniam Germain sprinted to victory in Stage 3 of the Tour de France on Monday as Richard Carapaz took the overall race lead in Turin. Ecuador's Carapaz took the yellow jersey from overnight leader Tadej Pogacar of Slovenia. The pair are level on time, while Remco Evenepoel and Jonas Vingegaard are third and fourth. Intermarch rider Germain, 24, who gave the Belgian team its first success on the tour as the third African to win on the Grande Bukel after South Africa's Daryl Impey and Rob Hunter. Germain won ahead of the Colombian Fernando Gaviria and Belgian Arnaud Delay in a chaotic final, marked by a late fall as the riders hit speeds of around 65 km/h in the dash to the line. The crash, in which the big favourite for the sprint, Jasper Philipsen, was involved, created a break into the peloton. Two-time race winner Pogacar, gunning for a historic Giro Tour double, did not fall but was delayed. After two sweltering stages, the skies were shrouded grey entering the northern Italian industrial city. Germain is more than just a sprinter and was aided in his victory by the absence of stage favourite Philipsen. He signalled his coming of age in 2022 when he became the first African to win a one-day classic at Jan Wevelgem, age 21. It was his second Grand Tour stage win after the Giro d'Italia in 2022, where he injured an eye opening a bottle of Prosecco on the podium. And that wraps up our bulletin this afternoon. In our top story today, US court rules Trump liable to immunity from prosecution as former president. Do join us again this evening at 8:30 p.m. on saluran Berita RTM and TV1, or you can stream us online through RTM Click's website and mobile app. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. I'm SAHIH. Goodbye and thank you for watching.